Ooh, hello there, my fellow miners and crafters. Gatan Oscar here, and welcome back to the wonderful world of Hermits and Crafting. And we're high above on the brand new skyscraper. Look at this view from above. We got the CDF to the right. We've got the dueling towers to the left there. And yeah, I just love coming up here and looking down over the city. One of the things I've loved always about Minecraft is building up in the air and seeing the entire landscape from above. Like, back in the day in 2010 when I used to play the game, I used to love that feeling of building on top of a mountain, and building in Scarlandia has kind of revived that passion of building up in the air once again. But guys, welcome back. It's great to have you. And in today's episode, I went off a little tangent about building in the air. We're going to be working on a spaceport. That is right. So we're going to be building kind of an airport, spaceport design, themed a little bit after the wonders that is SpaceX and potentially the BFR. So we're going to look down here and you can see I've added just a little dimension detail here. So what I'm looking at is kind of a pedestal. And from that, the terminal of the airport is going to be built from that. So the left and the right of the design is kind of hanging off the sides of the pedestal. Above that, there's going to be an airport tower. So that's going to look super sweet. Now, what we're going to be working on today is the back section. And of course, that is where the runways are going to go, right? So the runways are going to go across here. I have a really kind of interesting idea in terms of the runway design. So the runway is going to be elevated above. It's going to have kind of this cool arch pattern that's going to hold it up. And then there's going to be 3 landing pads along here. So 2 of those are BFR inspired landing pads. So if you don't know, BFR is the Big Falcon rocket. That of course is going to be the next SpaceX rocket. It's the interplanetary rocket. So that's kind of what we're theming it a little bit after. So we'll have 2 BFR pads and then a helicopter like VTOL landing pad. Does that make sense? Does that sound amazing? Oh man, I am super excited. Now, this is a bit of a tricky issue. So these are where our challenges are going to lie. This is a very strange shaped platform, and we need to create a runway. Now, when you think of a runway in our traditional sense of today, you think that, you know, these planes need a really kind of long ramp up and ramp down area so they can land and take off. But I'm envisioning this as the future, right? I'm thinking that planes can come in at a very steep angle of attack and take off at another, very high angle. So, or they just land, like a Harrier or an F-35, they can just land straight down and take back off. Does that make sense? So, we got to think of the future, right? These aren't exactly how we envisioned planes and things to take off today. Also, yeah, there's rockets going to be taking off in the middle of the city. But like I said, this is the future. And maybe there's some kind of super sweet suppression device that keeps all the sound away, right? There we go. That's how it works. Anyway, I am really excited about this. I hope you are. And of course, how about a like rating for a brand new project? Let me go get some resources and we can get this project underway. Welcome back, and boy, do we have a bit of a challenge when it comes to finding out how this is going to be built. It's a very strange piece of land we're working with. So I've been spending about 3 hours in a test world, kind of designing things down a little bit so it's smaller in scale and can fit within this confined space, which on the other hand actually leads to interesting designs when you do have little challenges like that. So I'm very happy with what we're going to build, but finding the right way is the challenge here. So my current thought process is we're going to do the BFR pads along here. So that would be parallel with the road. And then the tower and the terminal would be on this side with potentially a road connecting it to there, which would lead us to have extra land in this area. So it's a bit of a puzzle trying to fit all the things together. We could also do the road off of this section. Once again, still leaves us a little bit more land. Whereas if we did the actual tower right here where that circle is, that would put one of the BFR landing pads over the road. So then I moved it over a little bit and then over and over, and it's just taking up more room. So I think with this particular design, with doing the BFR landing pads along this corridor, that is going to allow us to have probably the best opportunity of fitting everything in here and not... I guess my biggest challenge here is not to place down something that confines the area where there's nothing else can be built in it. So there would be a bunch of like blank, weird pieces of land. So it is a bit of a challenge, but I think we've got it. I'm really confident in this particular design. So having these landing pads along this area is going to be absolutely fantastic. It's kind of sad when you're like 3 hours later, I got some dirt for you guys to take a look at. But seriously, what we're going to do is going to be super awesome. So now it's time to, wow, we're going to need a lot of concrete. So let's make that happen. At some point, I'm going to need to fix up this concrete machine because it has been taken out by Bob, the Creeper Building Inspector, one too many times. And I even had a cat over here, but the cat just fell through the floor. So as you can see, there's holes up here. This thing's been all broken, so I just keep putting more logs in that area. Some of the concrete gets shot up to the top of the roof. And then, of course, like I said, some falls down to the bottom there. So yeah, I kind of need to fix that up, but we've got a bunch more white concrete because a lot of the kind of structure of this particular build is going to be white. So that's going to be super fancy and shiny. There's the giant jukebox in the sky coined by Zloy. Anyway, it's not a jukebox. Anyway, we got some cats here. I noticed that our cat population was getting a little low because we had another cat killed by a lightning strike. So we got to bring up the population. Another issue with the cats is I don't know where my black and white and orange cats went. Once we got them from Tango's super awesome cat farm, I don't know where they went, so we're gonna have to go and find them. I think they're somewhere in the community area, but enough of our lollygagging. It is time to make some progress today. So first thing we're going to do is we're gonna drop down some blocks and start working on the launch pads for the spaceships and the rocket. Wait, I just realized something. I forgot all my supplies. I'm like halfway telling you that, and I'm like, something's not right. Something is just not right with this scene. And that is all of these shulker boxes that I completely forgot. So let's grab those. So like I said, the first thing we're going, wait, did I grab them all? I did. All right, good. Because that would have just done it. That would have been it for today. If I would have lost an entire shulker box. Oh, shulker boxes should never despawn. Am I right? Can we all be in agreement on that one? Man, oh man, that is the most devastating thing in life. And that shulker box disappears. All right, so let's drop down some blocks, drop down a crafting bench, grab that sneaky shulker box, and what else do I need? I need to grab myself some half slimes. Boom, ready to roll. So first thing we're going to do, like I tried to tell you like a minute and a half ago, we're going to work on the, I think it's called VTOL. I might be mispronouncing that, but it's where the aircraft can take off and land vertically. I think that's the right word, but I'm probably making a fool of myself, which would not be the first time, and that's okay. I've come to terms. All right, so I'm going to leave that right about there. So I'm spacing these out. So this is the support structure that goes under the landing pad. So each one of these things is spaced out about 3 blocks. There we go. And then let's do one over here. So that should be good. Okay. So next thing we're going to do is we're going to count this upwards. So that is, let's see, this will be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Very nice. And then of course we'll do the same on each one of these. So next thing we're going to do is I'm going to bring that up just a little bit. I'm going to cut this all out of there. Beautiful. And then what we're going to do is we're going to bring these up about 1.5 blocks wards like that. And then we'll run these of course on either side like that. So you see that general pattern? So we're going to take that design. We're going to send it all the way up. First build is finally down. And that of course is the structural underpinnings of our landing pad. So this landing pad right here is kind of like a VTOL landing pad. I think it's called that. I might be wrong. I might be making a fool of myself, but that's okay. So I think that's what it's called. And what that is the aircraft can both land and take off horizontally. Or vertically. I'm sorry, dyslexia. Anyway, so that is really cool. That's a really cool design. I think that's kind of the future of aircraft eventually is something that can take off vertically. So you don't need, a giant runway and of course all of the room that requires. So that's why we're going to build one of these. So that's going to go along here and we are going to have a runway, for more traditional aircraft. And of course we're going to have our 2 landing pads over there for the BFRs. That's right. So that's going to be pretty sweet. So this isn't going to be square. This will be round. I'm really bad at making things round, and plots, as far as I know, is still down. So this is going to have to be scar numbers, and when we go full scar numbers, you never know what's going to happen. So I might do that off camera, but I'll show you guys kind of the basic design that we are going to use. So there we go. Put that all the way across there. Almost there. Beautiful. Oh, no, not beautiful. Now it's beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to do a double check on dimensions. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And this should be 10 across here. Beautiful. So if we find the center of this block, we should be able to start our design. So I'm going to put a little H in here, and we're going to get started with that. So we should be in the center, and then I'm going to go to here, and that will be my start of my H. Beautiful. There we go. Awesome. So when it comes to these kind of things, I get a lot of questions about like, what's the point? Like, what is the point of creating something that doesn't produce something or is functionable within Minecraft? And I think for the longest time when it came to my style of building and playing Minecraft it was always style and design over any form of function in terms of farms, redstone, all those things. I've been trying to do a little bit better in terms of that for you guys for videos. So in this season of oh, what the heck? Oh, that scared me. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry, that freaked me out. But for this particular season of Hermitcraft, I've been trying to learn all the little things. Like I've been really trying to learn all of the intricacies of redstone and stuff like that. And I think I've learned a little bit. I've learned a ton from you guys and the other hermits. And I think that's been a little bit better. But I always point out that this kind of stuff, these little aesthetical details like the spaceport that you might just think is kind of a pointless thing, but this is how we relate. We think of the things in our own world around us. And when we create things in another world like Minecraft, which is blocks and stuff like that, you've got to add the little human elements. And those could be anything from a car to some kind of a creature, just the little things. Like when you look at the CDF right there, I think this is a good example. We have our tower right like that. And then we got a sign and a cat, of course, for the cat defense force. We have a helicopter up there and some little antennas and things along those lines. And I kind of feel like the human element of Scarlandia is missing slightly in some of the other skyscrapers because it doesn't have those particular elements like the, you know, the communication arrays or the police car or something along those lines. Like the Sugarcane Tower, I think is an aesthetically nice looking building, but it lacks in some of those, I can't really think of a better word, human elements that make it what it is. So that's what I've been trying to work on in my future builds, is adding those elements. Like soon we're going to be adding a whole bunch of cool things to the actual skyscraper in the center, just to add that extra little detail. So when you're building, always try to remember, like the aesthetic is very, very important. And of course, all these little details are what makes it just feel human to us. Does that make any sense? I hope it does. So that is looking pretty good right there. So like I said, I'm going to start kind of carving around some of these areas to try to make this thing round. Oh, Plot, we need you back. Anyway, let me make that happen. Sometimes I still amaze myself at how I'm able to make mob platforms unintentionally. Seriously. You need me to make a mob farm? I unintentionally make mob farms each and every day here in Scarlandia. Welcome back. So we need to start working on the actual rockets. So these are the rocket pads. And one element that I was a little unsure about is the bottom section here. See how we can kind of see some of the yellow and it looks a little bit messy on there? I need to come up with something to put down there. Sometimes I think you can put carpet on the underside of blocks. And I always remember like, no, you can't do that. I don't know why I always think that. Maybe we should be able to do that. Anyway, so next thing we need to do is we need to start raising these up. So these are going to be very similar to this structure. On the back end over here, of course, things are going to be different because that, of course, is going to be the tower, the elevator, different things along those lines to get into said rocket. I'm still looking at that. I'm like, what could we do? In the comments, like, what would you do there? Maybe some half slabs? Let's think about that. Anyway, so that is set. So what we're going to do is we're going to build the structure on either one of these ones, and then it'll have the same kind of width of a platform, but then the stripes and things along those lines are going to be quite a bit different. So let me clear off my mob spawning platform and start building these, and I'll be right back. You never know until you do something. You gotta just do it, right? You can't just spend your entire time just thinking and planning. You've gotta drop the blocks. And then once we did do that finally, as you can see down below, turns out there's way more room than I thought. But that's okay. I think we can do some really cool stuff with this other land pieces along here. I'm thinking like field towers and potentially potentially like some kind of radar system, I think would look really, really sweet. Still thinking about this. So why don't we do this together real quick before we head back to the tops of those other platforms. Let me grab out just a little bit of quartz and say we do this. What if we run, if I do this, this should turn black, correct? So that would lead me to think that I should go like that. I don't know. See, what I'm thinking about is that shadow glitch should appear here. There it is. There's that shadow glitch. That's what I was looking for. Well, you know what? It's not like terrible, actually. It's not as bad as I thought it was. So yeah, we can fill in this bottom section down here, and that'll cover up the yellow and that darker gray. And I think that'll look really cool. It'll give it a little bit more. Ooh, I actually would like those blocks. Nothing goes to waste here. There we go. Awesome. So then let's scaffold our way down. Beautiful. So yeah, that looks way better. It looks so much less messy, a little bit more refined. So we bring those quartz all the way around, and of course on these two. So I don't have any ender pearls. I could use maybe a ladder or an elevator to get up there. That would be super awesome. So landing up here, the only thing we need to do here before we start working on, you know, like the taxiways that'll go to the runway. Each one of these will have a taxiway, but we need to start thinking about how the design of the little yellow stripes are going to go. So for this one, I'm kind of feeling like this. If we do some threes like that. Now, of course, this is a rocket platform. So that would lead my thought process to come to that we're going to need some kind of stabilization maybe into the ground. So potentially we could carve in some stairs, and those are places to like couple into the ground, if you will, if that makes any sense. I think that makes a little bit of sense, which would be nice. All right. So yeah, taking that thought, we don't have any kind of like really like dark gray or black stairs other than the nether brick, and that's kind of purple and ugly. I don't know. We'll think about it. We could always use quartz or something like that. Maybe stone. That actually might be a good idea. But yeah, I actually like that design. So if we were to take these, and we were to like position them anywhere along. Oh, hello. Come back here, please. Thank you. There's a lot of mist blocks down there. But if we did something like this, it would show that there's some kind of coupling mechanism that the spaceship hooks into. Does that make sense? Yeah, I think I like it. So let's grab these blocks. And yeah, so let me do that design on the other platform. And of course, fill in all of this. And guys, come on, look at this. We're making some huge progress. I love these platforms. I cannot wait. I cannot wait for you guys to see the actual towers that go up. I think they're going to look really cool. And hey, the mob platforms are working. Yeah, sweet. Anyone need services? That's my new shop in the community area. Scar's Mob Platforms. Have one in your base today for a low, low price of $9.99. Welcome back, and I don't think I have showed you the updated version of Scarlandia. So we got it all done in terms of landscaping in our stream over the weekend. So as you guys can see down below, we have all the trees now lining the skyscraper. All the ponds are now filled in, and all the little bits of landscape line the roads going into the tunnel now. And as for the skyscraper itself, it's got all the little cool little lines and details now showing on the map. So that makes me super, super happy to see. So up in the top half up here, look at that. Look at all the different buildings. And then of course down below here is soon to show, you know, our landing pads and our runways and different things along those lines. As for maps go, wouldn't it be so cool is if that was a real-time representation of our player right there? What if that thing was moving around and you hovered over and it said, good times with Scar? Actually, good time with Scar. There's only one good time per game, so good time with Scar. But, you know, what if like Cubfam was flying on in or something like that? Wouldn't that be really cool if you could see that in real time? That was always my dream with maps, was that you could see things in real time in the game. I'm sure that would cause some form of lag or something along those lines. I'm sure there's technical issues to be had, but you know, it's fun to think about anyway. We're on the landing pads. As you guys can see, I actually moved them over. So this is now the helipad. Those are two of the BFR pads. So that's something super fancy. And yeah, so let's just get right into it here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start extending out our little taxiways. So if the vehicle lands here, it would want to go over to the terminal where, you know, it could join up with one of the jetways and go into the terminal. So that's kind of what we're doing now. And one of the frustrating things about this is I tested these things all out in Creative World, you know, kind of figured out dimensions and things along those lines. But the problem was I didn't realize I had more room than I thought I did, especially putting these things up against the road instead of back there where it was a little bit more confined. So now I have more room, not less room. I actually have more room than I thought, but in the end, I think it's okay because we'll be able to fill in some of these areas with some different stuff. So in terms of design, think of all the other ideas we can do that I didn't think was possible. Fuel tanks, radar towers, like we mentioned. So in the comments, if you guys have any spaceport and or airport ideas that we can build in our next episode when we work on like the terminal, definitely let me know. And of course, just go hashtag airport designs and yeah, let me know. I love hearing all your different creative suggestions. And Jelly right now is trying to get on my lap while I'm recording. And this is super hard, Jelly. You're gonna make it, so I'm gonna crash, Jelly. This is the hazards of having a cat, especially while recording. So I'm gonna work on these things over here. I'm gonna put Jelly in her bed. And yeah, so once we get these all assembled, it's time for the runway. And that's gonna be super amazing. I may have vastly underestimated the amount of hardened concrete we're going to need for the runway. So the original idea for the runway was going to have 10 blocks coming off of the last taxi runway here that's on this section. So it would go out about 10 blocks. So at the moment I'm about 14 because this area is a little bit bigger, like I said, than I anticipated. Now, the current width of the runway is at 9, so I think that's okay. So if we bring this outwards like this, we'll bring it out to about 9 blocks. And then, of course, there's going to be the jetways along this section in here, and of course the terminal and all those wonderful things. So yeah, I think things are progressing. Now, one of the ideas that I had just a moment ago was that potentially where the planes and things like that hit the runway, that's a little bit darker, of course, from the tires hitting the runways. Maybe we could add some black concrete kind of here and there right there, so it looks like it's kind of scratched the pavement. I think that'd actually look pretty sweet. The other problem with this is the yellow concrete. I really like the yellow concrete. I think it has a really good contrast with the darker gray concrete, but the issue is mobs. Mobs are getting to be a little bit of a problem here. So far I haven't died. I know it's a small Minecraft miracle that I have not died yet, but we might have to think about doing carpet instead and putting lighting under it. I think it's an easy solution. It's not the ideal solution, but I think it might work and we'll be able to cover up, you know, and not have a lot of like light sources that, you know, don't fit the theme of the runway. So let me just take a little peeks here. I think it would be in this section that we would start. So let me just do it with dirt for now. So right about here. Oh, wow. No, that's way off. That's why you do it in dirt, guys. There we go. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Wait, what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Perfect. So then I think we would do little lines in the center like that. I should actually look at runways just to get a quick perspective on how they do some of their letters and of course their lines in the pavement. But I think something like that will actually look pretty cool. And then having the runway extended all the way out to the end, just at the very end, I think it'll be really cool. So it's like just kind of hovering over the edge of the circle. So I think that's going to be pretty sweet. So it's going to take a while and potentially a lot of resources. So give me a little bit. I'm going to knock down this runway and I'll be right back. Welcome back, and as you can see, the runway is ready to roll and it is looking pretty darn amazing. So let's take a quick land here and take a look at this. So I did expand the runway by 1 block on either end. Of course, that keeps it, you know, symmetrical across here. So I think that is looking much better than it had been. So this is 1 block shorter than it originally was because I brought it over by 1 and then expanded this out by 1, but maintained our little, I don't know what this particular spot's called. So this would be where the plane parks at an apron and or a gate. I don't know what the specific term would be here. Just gate, maybe? I don't know. You let me know in the comments. So this part is 10 blocks. So I added that section so planes can park here, and this is 10 blocks. And of course, down at the end, I was looking at real life runways just on Google, searching images and whatnot. And one thing I found was that at the edge of the runways, there's always these kind of white lines that go across here. So they're straight white lines. So I suppose potentially my thought was that they would want to put their tires just shy of those. And there were some airports that had little triangles too that were lining this section here. So I wasn't sure what that was. And then they would have like a little compass marker. So it would say something in relation to the compass, and then it would be like runway left or runway right. I'm looking south, so if you're an expert in these type of things, let me know what number on the compass I'd put like right here, and then if it would be like left or right. So left or right, I guess, would just mean if there was multiple runways, correct? I don't know, maybe. So yeah, in the comments, let me know. I want to make sure this is fairly accurate, so I'm doing my best to try to learn this stuff and try to be accurate. And the next thing I learned was, just from looking and doing a little research, was yellow lines are more for stopping at a particular spot, lining things up, whereas the white lines are more of just kind of directional lines on the pavement, at least as far as I could find. So we're going to change out from doing these in yellow. These are all going to be white, and potentially white powdered concrete, just to give it a little granular texture. So I think that'd be super sweet. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to need to work on our supports. So instead of doing something straight like so, we're going to do something with a curve, a little bit of a curve action. So we're going to start over here, and we're just going to have this gentle wave curve that kind of meets up in the center and then comes on back down. And it's just going to give things just a little bit more of a style, a little more design, instead of just some straight lines that go up and support the structure. So we'll start at about 10 or so, and then we'll dip down to 8 and 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you know, on how long the particular pieces are. So that gives us that gentle little curve down. So I think that's going to be super awesome. So let me work on that, and I'll be right back, and then we can work on those towers. Jumping back in for a quick update. I think the lines for the runway and tarmac are coming out really, really great. So as you guys can see, we're putting down some yellow lines that kind of direct you, you know, into these particular areas. But yeah, look at this one. This little one kind of swirls into here, and potentially, you know, we could even expand out this even just a little bit more. So it looks like it does kind of fill in there. Oh, I'm absolutely loving this. So over at the end here, we have those kind of white lines. And for some reason, I put these on there. I've seen these on like older aircraft carriers. I just thought it looked kind of cool. I'm just looking at a lot of pictures of airports and runways and stuff, so I thought those look pretty cool. And you know what? This is kind of like an aircraft carrier in a way. It's floating above the ground there. So yeah, we've got the what is this? Powdered concrete? Yeah, powdered concrete. I was trying a couple different things. So I think that looks really cool. And remember, guys, please, in the comments, if you know what like numbers and things to put like right here, like a real runway, please let me know in the comments. That'd be super, super duper helpful. I think what also be cool is if we did potentially one of these lining into that area would actually look pretty cool, but we'll get to there eventually. Yeah, I just want to give you guys a quick update. I'm having so much fun putting these in there. It seems like just such a silly thing, but I don't know, it just really makes the whole thing come together. So I promise I'm almost done with this, and then we can get to those BFR towers. Best mob farm in Minecraft. Look at this thing. I think the yellow lines are what really ties it all together. It's what attracts the creepers, it turns out. So we've got some spiders, we got some creepers, we got some skeletons. I mean, we've even got a chicken down there. Look at that. Help me. We did it. We finally got the towers up, the landing pads, and the runways. So let's grab up the maps here and head off and take a look at what we accomplished today, which I am super, super happy about. So let's see if we can see this start to appear on the map. I mean, we could look at it in front of us too, I guess. That's definitely an option. Oh, there they are on the map. That is really, really cool. So let's take a land here on the runway next to the runway cat. And there's our BFR towers setting up and looking super fancy. I mean, they don't look exactly like the concept art, but you know, I put my own little flair onto them. I added the lightning tower at the top that looks a little bit like the space shuttle's tower, and just add a little extra detail. I did have this red in here, and it looked like a mouth. So I took it out and I put it blue. So that's a thing. And of course, here's kind of like the hookups and different things along those lines. So of course, I'm going to continue to add and change things a little bit with these as I just come up with different ideas. I definitely feel like there's some improvements we could do around here just to add more life to it. Potentially cargo and stuff along those lines I think could be really, really cool. As for actual rockets, we're going to have one taking off. Because I'm thinking like, okay, we could have one on the landing pad, but why not have something taking off? So we're gonna have one just taking off, and I think that's gonna be really, really cool. And potentially we could come back and, you know, set fire to the platform like it's burned it out or something would be really nice. And of course, our terminal is gonna go along here with our, you know, our tower with, you know, the controls and stuff along those lines is gonna be up there. And yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching today. This has been so much fun to put together, and I hope you guys liked it and it inspired you for your own airports and or modern cities in your own worlds. And that's what I love Minecraft, is that the opportunity to hopefully show somebody something unique and different, and it can inspire them a little bit. So yeah, look at the airport on there. That looks really, really cool. So until next time, this has been Good Times with Scar, and we'll see you later. And don't forget to subscribe, because you may just become scarred for life.